Alright, so now we're gonna watch some Jimmy Dore and react to, I don't know, something about Trump. And I think the important thing to remember here is that these guys are super leftists, so for them to say anything Trump did was good is shocking, I guess, eh?
Yeah.
But, alright, here we go.
Let's get it.
Let's get it.
Here with Misha Pollan and Americans comedian Kurt Metzger. And here's a new video that just dropped from Donald Trump.
Stop the warmongering globalists, it says.
World War III has never been closer than it is right now. We need to clean house of all of the warmongers and America Last globalists and the deep state, the Pentagon, the State Department, and the national security industrial complex. One of the reasons I was the only president in generations who didn't start a war is that I was the only president who rejected the catastrophic advice of many of Washington's generals, bureaucrats, and the so-called diplomats who only know how to get us into conflict, but they don't know how to get us out. For decades, we've had the very same people, such as Victoria Nuland and many others just like her, obsessed with pushing Ukraine toward NATO, not to mention the State Department support for uprisings in Ukraine.
Wow.
That's a pretty bold statement. He's talking about Victoria Nuland. If you remember, that's the U.S. official who was caught on tape plotting a coup in Ukraine back in 2014. She's the one who says that, talking about who the next leader of Ukraine should be, and who they decide on, a guy named Yatsenyuk, is exactly who became.
Because like what they're talking about and what the news never tells you is like Ukraine was a free democratic country, and in 2014 they had a coup, right? And people overthrew the government in 2014, and it was backed by the USA because the government, they thought the government was too cozy with Russia. So they overthrew that government. No one tells you about this, right? In 2014, they installed that puppet, that what's his name, Zelensky. And like the guy was a stand-up comedian before. Dude. Oh man, wearing dresses and stuff. And he's just a clown. He's just a puppet. Like if anyone's a puppet, it's this guy, bro. And then they're shocked that like Russia, you know what I mean, started kind of defending themselves. I don't know, right? But like,
Can't blame them.
It's you know, the first casualty in war is the truth, and it's not one-sided. Like Russia, you know, there's a reason why Russia's doing this, and it's because, like they said, Ukraine was going to join NATO, and if that's the case, then Russia was going to have nuclear missiles right on its doorstep.
Exactly.
And the states would never let that happen. If the Russia was doing the same thing with Cuba, which they already almost went to war because that's what was happening, and that was way down in Cuba. Imagine if it was right in Canada, right? There's no way the states is going to let them. So that's what happened, you know, and it's like, you know, if the news just kind of told the truth and said, you know, oh, Putin's war on Ukraine, it's like, well, you know, maybe if you just share just a glimmer or a glimpse of why Russia, you know, attacked and stuff, maybe people would find you more credible.
Exactly.
You know, like, come on, like, because no one's dumb enough to think that just Russia attacked Ukraine for no reason, and Putin's just the next Hitler. Like, it's just stupid. It's just stupid. But anyways, let's see what else Trump has to say.
Became the new prime minister of Ukraine after the coup in February 2014. And Trump here appears to be referring to that. The State Department supported uprisings in Ukraine, which is, if that's what he's referring to, then this is the highest level person in the U.S. to ever admit to U.S. involvement in the 2014 coup.
Yeah, I wonder if he figured anything out. Because it's so funny when he came in on, you know, the beginning of this kind of talk, but he bombed a bunch of places too, didn't he?
And we're going to get to his own role in fueling the Cold War that he's now trying to criticize, because he played a major role in this too, which is interesting.
These people have been seeking confrontation for a long time, much like the case in Iraq and other parts of the world, and now we're teetering on the brink of World War III. And a lot of people don't see it, but I see it, and I've been right about a lot of things. They all say Trump's been right about everything. None of this excuses in any way the outrageous and horrible invasion of Ukraine. 1 year ago, which would have never happened if I was your president, not even a little chance. But it does mean that here in America, we need to get rid of the corrupt globalist establishment that has botched every major foreign policy decision for decades, and that includes President Biden, whose own people said he's never made a good decision when it comes to looking at other countries and looking at wars.
Ouch.
We have to replace them with people who support American interests. Over our 4 years in the White House, we made incredible progress in putting the America Last contingent aside and bringing the world to peace. And now we're going to complete the mission. The State Department, Pentagon, and National Security establishment.
Sorry, in Biden's last speech when he was the other day, because he was there or whatever to visit his boyfriend or whatever, Zelensky. He had this speech and he was talking about like how much more money they're gonna give them and what it's for, and then he's like, and also we have to help pay for this and pay for that and pay for their social security. So he wants them to pay for Ukraine's like like unemployed, like the people over 65, so you know what I mean, because they can't pay that anymore type of thing. So Biden said the states is going to pay it. Like, that's brutal, man.
Yeah,
it's brutal. It's brutal.
If Trudeau did
no one voted to send them $1. Yeah. No one voted to send them $1 fucking dollar, man. It's a joke. If you ever have an election on anything, you'd think you'd have it on like a war, and then they just pretend they're not at war, and that's how they get around. Because for them to go to war, they have to like go through Congress and stuff. They can't just like go to war. But so this is their back way of being a war. Proxy war, they call it. Yeah. But all right.
Establishment will be a very different place by the end of my administration. In fact, just into my administration, it'll be a very different place, and it'll get things done, just like I did 4 years ago. We never had it so good. We'll also stop the lobbyists and the big defense contractors from going in and pushing our senior military and national security officials toward conflict, only to reward them when they retire with lucrative jobs, getting paid millions and millions of dollars. Take a look at the globalist warmonger donors backing our opponents. That's because they're candidates of war. I am the president who delivers peace, and it's peace through strength. There was a reason we had no conflict. There was a reason we didn't get into wars, because other countries respected us. I entirely built, all right from the beginning, rebuilt our military. It's a big reason for that. They didn't want to mess around with the United States, and now they're laughing at us. We could end the Ukraine conflict in 24 hours with the right leadership. At the end of my next 4 years, the warmongers and frauds and failures of the senior ranks of our government will all be gone, and we will have a new group of competent national security officials who believe in defending America's vital interests above all else. Thank you very much.
So that's Trump, and when he says a lot there, and he says, for example, that if he were president, that the Russian invasion of Ukraine wouldn't have happened. He's not the first to say that. Bitter critics of his, including Fiona Hill, a former White House expert, and also the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, have also said that if Trump were president, this invasion wouldn't have happened. But what Trump is leaving out here is that his own policies played a major role in setting the stage for this invasion to happen. Because as much as Trump has criticized sometimes warmongers like he's doing here, he sided with the warmongers. He appointed them to his own cabinet, and they oversaw a number of policies that made this invasion by Russia.
Trump's president, and like 50%, no matter how the House and Senate is, if 50% of the Democrats don't like him and 50% of the Senate don't like him, they can just vote to kick him out. So you know what I mean? Like if they want to do something and he says no, then they'll just straight up threaten him, like, because he wanted to free Assange and stuff too, and pardon Assange, and then they told him no.
It's a joke, bro.
Like, Assange isn't from the States, right? Yeah. And all he did was release information whistleblowers sent him to WikiLeaks, and he just would release it, and he's in jail, like getting probably tortured and everything, and they're trying to send him to the States, and it's like, why the fuck would they send him to the States? Like, it doesn't make any sense. He's not from there.
Exactly.
Like, I think he's Australian.
Damn.
But they'll get him. But alright, here we go.
Russia a lot more likely, which he's not owning up to here. So here's just some of them, okay?
Not just them, all them plus Omarosa was his great idea.
So this is a headline from 2019. Trump to seek $250 million in new lethal aid to Ukraine. So that was Trump doing what Obama refused to do, which is send a whole category of weapons to Ukraine that Obama didn't want to send.
Give it to the Nazis, let them fight it out.
Exactly.
Fight it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. And here's another one. Trump says U.S. will withdraw from nuclear arms treaty with Russia. Experts warned of most severe crisis in nuclear arms control since the 1980s as Trump confirms U.S. will leave the INF agreement. That's
Now they
Trump
can
doing
stop
that.
laughing at us. They're laughing at us because we have a treaty. We're getting rid of it. They'll stop laughing.
Here's another one. Nord Stream 2. Trump approved sanctions on Russia gas pipeline. That was Trump trying to stop Russia's most important piece of foreign infrastructure. This, at that time at least, this.
But they blew it out, spewing all this, gas and crap into the ocean, not in the atmosphere. But these are the same politicians that blew it up. These are the same politicians that are all about green energy and a safer Earth, and that's the kind of shit they do. Like, they don't give one fuck.
Yeah, man.
They just make up shit so they can tax you more. Because like our tax in Canada we have a carbon tax, and it's complete bullshit. It was just the new tax they invented because our carbon emissions haven't changed, and it hasn't helped. So it's like, why the hell? It's just a joke.
Pipeline between Russia and Germany, bringing cheap Russian energy to Germany, which Trump took the lead in trying to stop. And of course, Biden administration took up the mantle by blowing it up. But that was Trump trying to do that. So all these things radically escalated tensions with Russia. Those were Trump policies. And even when he left office, this is what Trump said just in March 2022. He said, "I would threaten Russia with nuclear submarines if still president." Okay? So that sounds like warmongering to me. That sounds like warmongering to me.
I would threaten Russia so hard they would never laugh at us again. With a submarine.
So Trump, even though in 2016 he ran.
I really think if he was president right now, like, I think he'd at least sit down with Putin and try to negotiate something. Because right now they won't even do that. They won't even sit down with the man.
And you know what Putin said too, right? He said, "What? I've seen a lot of American presidents, but Trump is the only one who does what he says."
Yeah. Yeah, and not take bribes.
Exactly.
And against, he ran as sort of an anti-neocon candidate. He criticized Hillary Clinton and John McCain and Jeb Bush for the wars in Iraq and Libya and Syria. He still came into office, and he appointed a bunch of warmongers, and he pursued warmongering policies, including appointing Mike Pompeo. And listen to how proud Mike Pompeo was of how his administration under Trump escalated tensions with Russia.
After Helsinki, do you think that the American people deserve to know what's in President Trump's tax returns and business interests that are intertwined with Russia?
Senator, I'm going to try to stay out of the same political circus that you and I ended up in last time I was sitting here, and simply respond by saying this same president with which you seem to express such deep concern is engaged in a massive defense buildup, which threatens Vladimir Putin's regime. He instructed us to put together a nuclear posture review that is.
Hey, did you hear that? So that's what they were doing in Ukraine, and then they wonder why Russia invaded Ukraine. Like, there's your proof right there. He was the head of the CIA. This guy,
Shit.
Mike Pompeo.
Everybody needs to see this video.
That's what I love about these guys. They tell the truth.
Yeah.
Like, they show the truth. I don't know how they're still on YouTube. Like, I have no idea. But, like, a lot of the time they'll make disclaimers. Like, if they talk about COVID, they'll say, I shouldn't even say that word. But they'll say, and I agree, all the vaccines are safe, and nothing's wrong with them, and they're very good for reducing and restricting the spread and all that stuff. So, but,
They have
never
to,
again say that word.
Yeah.
See. What is that?
They have to, because YouTube will take it down right away.
These guys are like the most honest and still on YouTube that I ever seen, ever. But I guess they just go on Rumble anyway.
Yeah.
Set Vladimir Putin on his ear because of its robustness and the recapitalization of our nuclear program. He's kicked out 60 spies. We've banned Kaspersky.
Yeah,
we put $11 billion in the European
Mr.
Defense
Secretary,
Initiative.
you've already
No, Senator,
said
actually,
that.
I haven't even begun to scratch the
No,
surface.
but you've already... You haven't answered my question, so let me try it a little different way.
Wow.
That's the other thing, they vote now for like people on TikTok and stupid shit like that, and the bad thing is it's like they might promise you some things and get them, but like when you have them, because they're the ones that question these like FBI and CIA guys and stuff like that, and you don't want some idiot there doing that,
Yeah.
Most of them are.
Wow, Pompeo showing some honesty.
Exactly. And they don't want to hear it because they're so fixated to their conspiracy theory that Trump is a Russian asset. So Pompeo pointing out all the ways Trump is escalating tensions with Russia, they don't want to hear that.
Mr. Pompeo, I don't actually know anything. I need you to say the thing.
Hey, wouldn't you want to know, as Secretary of State? I mean, I'm taking you in your sincerity here as Secretary of State, whether all these Russian financial interests, oligarchs, and others are part of the decision-making of the president. I mean, wouldn't you want that out in the open and to understand what went on at Helsinki?
What a moron. So you think they're paying him off even while he's doing this to them?
Exactly. And that's why he doesn't want Pompeo to say what Trump is actually doing, is because it contradicts that conspiracy theory that
We
Trump...
do know, moron. Like, they're not friends.
It's an easy kind of yes or no question.
Senator, I don't need secondhand understandings of what President Trump is instructing his administration to do to push back against Russia. I have firsthand understanding and directives.
Well, let me ask the question a little bit
We've
differently
opposed
here.
Nord Stream 2. We've got a 4x30 out of NATO that also is a big setback for Russia. I mean, I'm happy to continue the list.
They said 1,000,000 times, even before it was built, when it was nearing completion, we opposed Nord Stream 2. They really didn't want them to have this gas deal with Russia, Germany and Russia, but then they blow it up, right? And it, you know what? It proves what I say right there. Then the States blows it up, and they pretend they know nothing about what happened, and then they'll admit it. You know what I mean? Like Victoria Nuland pretty much admitted it. She's like, well, aren't you glad it's gone? You know what I mean? Like, so basically admit it. It's the same way when they assassinate people. Exactly. It's just so obvious, and they just, I don't know. It's the exact same fucking thing. Because where's the investigation? Where's that? It's just such bullshit. Oh man. And they still deny it. You wonder why no one fucking believes you about anything. Fucking clowns.
I'm happy to cease there, but I will submit the entirety of this administration's actions against Russia for the record, if I might.
Please do.
We'll back a truck up and get it on in here.
So that's our political spectrum for the last 7 years.
Look! I assure you, we are about to go to war with Russia. He has ratcheted up.
Exactly.
No, dude, you're not hearing me.
That's the debate.
They hate us now.
That's the debate. On the left, quote unquote, it's Democrats insisting that Trump is a Russian agent doing Putin's bidding. On the right are people like Mike Pompeo, who were in power, saying, no, actually, we're radically escalating tensions with Russia, and we're happy to keep doing it. And that's our political spectrum right there. And Trump, meanwhile, coming to office, talking about cooperating with Russia, talking about taking on the neocons. He appointed neocons like Mike Pompeo, and he didn't do any of the things he said he would do if his policies escalated tensions with Russia.
He brought Bolton in.
He brought Bolton in, exactly. Now, defenders of Trump might say, well, look, he had no choice. He was boxed in. He faced a lot of pressure. He was new to Washington. He couldn't stand up to the warmongers. Even he was threatened. And there's truth to that, because check out what Chuck Schumer said right before
He was
Trump.
trying to make nice with them by bringing these scumbags in after he said he's going to clear the swamp.
Yep.
And he didn't understand what an idiot move that is.
Well, and then there was things like what Chuck Schumer said right before Trump took office.
The latest statement, latest tweet, as you were just saying, the president-elect's latest unsolicited pronouncement on the intelligence community. This was his tweet just a little while ago tonight. You see the scare quotes there. The intelligence briefing on so-called Russian hacking was delayed until Friday. Perhaps more time needed to build a case. Very strange. We're actually told, intelligence sources tell NBC News since this tweet has been posted, that actually this intelligence briefing for the president-elect was always planned for Friday. It hasn't been delayed. But he's taking these shots, this antagonism, this taunting to the intelligence community.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
What do you think the intelligence community would do if they were motivated?
I don't know, but from what I'm told, they are very upset with how he has treated them and talked.
So there we go. And whether it was the intimidation from forces like Chuck Schumer mentioned from the national security state, who have 6 ways from Sunday to get back at the president who goes against them, or whether it was just Trump wanting to get along and be liked by Republicans who are dominated by neocons, his actual policies escalated tensions with Russia. And now he's calling out the agenda that he himself advanced, and a lot of what he said there is totally true. And that is why they don't like Trump, not because of his policies, which they actually support and encourage, but because sometimes he speaks the truth, and sometimes he calls out the right people accurately. It's just a shame for his own legacy that he couldn't apply any of that critique he has to his own policies.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, the one thing I've ever was that one time Candace Owens brought up, why didn't you pardon Assange and Snowden? It's the only time I've seen Trump even say he was wrong. I couldn't believe it. Like, yeah, well, I should have done. I've never even seen him look like that.
Yeah, that's a guy who's intimidated, I think.
Yeah.
Doing live stand-up comedy in Tempe, Palm Springs, Milwaukee, Nashville, North.
Well, good. Go lay down. All right. Well, yeah, that was a good video.
Very good video.
Nice and fair and balanced, the way I like to see it, like a real journalist.
Real journalist.
Yeah. Real deal. All right. Have a great day and
do you.
Do you. See you next video.
Peace.
Peace.